Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
RoadToRooter.com. Settle down, all you silver investors. I actually had someone ask me, when should I sell? We're looking at 180 years of silver price suppression. At the moment you should sell, you're probably going to be buying more and more as the gold-silver ratio comes back to where people think it should be, which is probably 30 to 1. Historically, probably 10 to 1. Reality in the mining shares, mining being extracted, 7 to 1. Most of that's being used for industrial. That's a 1-to-1 ratio, gold silver. And I still wouldn't sell my silver. Why? Because I know there's 10 times as much gold out there. They're saying it's 230 million or 230,000 tons it's ever been mined in the history of gold. You're going to hear the GATA folks say it. You're going to hear Jeffrey Christian say it. You're going to hear everybody quote that number. Probably the biggest lie. It's more like 2 million tons and more in the ground that the United States has locked up in national parks, military installations. You name it, they've locked it up. I'm going to post a cartoon. It's really, really interesting on YouTube from the early 1980s when Reagan was president, talking about finding America's treasure in the Grand Canyon. You can't make this stuff up. And we all know how the media is. They give us little secrets about what's really going on. But I'll post that later today at roadtoroot.com. It's a Hanna-Barbera, Yogi Bear video or show that got reposted. And it's shocking. And one of my subscribers sent it to me, and he said, holy crap, you're not going to believe what I found. And you guys aren't going to believe this either. Anyway, so when should you sell your silver? Silver is money, is a asset you're going to want to hold on to during the collapse of the old system. So no, it's not time to sell your silver. Most people aren't. There are a lot of people trying to cash in on scrap silver, like jewelry and teacups and forks and knives made of silver. And the refineries that melt it down and turn it into 999 fine are backed up. So you can hear, oh, there's so much silver is being backed up. That'll go away. That'll literally go away within a month or so. That's the backup. And that's why some dealers won't buy scrap silver right now or give you a little crappy price for it because they don't know what the price of silver is going to be like after the month of waiting for it to get refined down. That's a tiny pit of what's going on. What is going on is the entire world has figured out that silver is a rigged paper game, electronic game, really. Futures and options on the COMEX. That's how the United States of America has rigged all markets, at least since the advent of computer derivative trading by Alan Greenspan in the 1970s, early 1970s. Implemented by Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed. Anybody wants to know how that game is played, you should know by now. Ted Butler did a great job when he was with us, a great job at analyzing the Commitment of Traders report. But as you might not know, this is the very last Commitment of Traders report you'll ever see in your whole life. This is from September 23rd, 2025. You might say, what do you mean, Bix? They're just stopping because of the government shutdown. Well, if you think the government of the U.S. is going to get rebooted, then yeah, they might make another Commitment of Traders report, and it's going to be very different. This one shows the big banks, the handful of 8 banks who collude to rig the price, in the U.S. at least, at 41% of the short. The short is, at the time, 165,000 contracts, which is about 8.5 million, 850 million ounces, 6, wait, hold on. I'm going to give you this actual calculation because it has changed. It's gone up since they stopped reporting this stuff. So 165,805 times $5,000 per contract, 5,000 ounces per contract, 829 million ounces is the open interest, times 41%, 41.7% is 345 million ounces. So every dollar you see the price of silver going up, you got criminals that they might be hedged. Now this is the net number, at least on the comics. They might have physical somewhere. Like J.P. Morgan might be counting SLV silver as their own because they know that they can just call force majeure and liquidate the 500 million ounces that are there. Am I scared of that? No, I'm not scared of that. They need a hell of a lot more than 500 million ounces. They need a hell of a lot more than 1 billion ounces. The jig is up. The cat is out of the bag. We are in financial war with China, as Trump just said. Is it planned? Is it all part of the scheme? Of course it is. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the people who run the computer derivative programs at Virtu Financial is the main guy running the guy, Vinny Viola, running the show for the banking cabal and the U.S. government for market rigging. They can do whatever they want with their derivatives. The U.S. government has authority under the Gold Act of 1934, has authority to rig any market they want to preserve the value of the dollar. It's written into the law. So that act was signed in 1934, and voila, so invented the con that's been going on for this long. And there's no way to fight that. You can't fight it. There is no way. We can't run in and say, I'm going to buy all the silver and expect the price to change on a derivative market that has nothing to do with physical silver, which is the comics, which is where everybody gets their silver. Having said that, you should have 100% of your silver investments in physical silver in your own possession. Why? Because as these banks lose more and more billions of dollars every few dollars that silver goes up, all it takes is $3 for the 8 banks to lose over $1 billion. What's going to happen when it goes over $30 in a day or $300 in a day? They're going to lose even more money, and they are not closing out their shorts. As a matter of fact, the open interest has gotten bigger. If you look at open interest, is now at 173,000 contracts. But we don't know, because they're not publishing the report, because the government shutdown, we don't know along the Ted Butler lines of, here's what the big shorts are doing. If the big shorts aren't further shorting and somebody else is taking control, like BlackRock, we would see that in the COT numbers. Hope this makes sense to you guys. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The price doesn't matter at the end of the day. They could click a mouse and put the price at minus $40. We understand that. They did it with oil, and you can invent whatever excuse you want. With oil, it was, we're backed up at all the holding facilities for oil. That's why it happened. No, it's not why it happened. It happened because someone was allowed to do it. A controller of the price of oil, which they have had under their control since the trading of derivatives. First they used OPEC in the early 70s, and then about the 90s, it came down to we don't even need OPEC to create artificial demand for the dollar. We can do it with computers and derivatives. And oil is a massive market, one of the biggest on the planet. And it's so easy for them to control out of the Fed New York or the trading floor of the basement of the U.S. Treasury building. Yes, there is a trading floor in the basement. I call it a rigging floor in the basement of the U.S. Treasury building. There is no such thing as free markets anymore, and there hasn't been for quite a long time. We just weren't aware of it until recently. Now you're aware of it. It's really my only dig against Trump is he's the biggest market rigger of them all. But I think at the end of the day, he's going to pull the plug. And it won't be the end of the day as in the end of his term. He wants to have a big celebration of how great America is on his 250th birthday in July. I mean, if you want a time frame of when this shit has to be done and kind of rebooted, it's July 2026, July 4th. My birthday, by the way. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, volumes are through the roof in the derivative market. Yesterday, there was, would be 660 million derivative ounces thrown at the market. Yeah, it could be billion ounces. It could be trillion ounces. There is no limit in the rig market. Although there is visually a limit because people are going to say, holy shit, they've been rigging the game for 180 years. I'm going to do the only thing I can do. I'm not going to buy ETFs, obviously. There's 500 million ounces in SLV. Those will be coming back into the market probably very soon because industrial users need it. And it will go away in a blink of an eye because it's a tiny amount. Lots of talk these days about transferring silver from the COMEX warehouses over to the LBMA warehouses. And we do see right here silver being removed from the COMEX warehouses and going over to, we don't know where it's going, truthfully. But just yesterday, or is this today? Activity date, report date was, so this is what happened yesterday. Another 3 million ounces went over to London. Maybe 30 million has gone over since the panic started. So you take that, keep that number fresh in your mind, 30 million ounces versus, where is that? 250 million ounces transferred per day in London. And London's running out of metal. And the big fix is going to be transferring 30 million ounces. Even if they did 300 million ounces, it's about a day's worth of transfers. So no, it's not going to fix anything. But it'll be an excuse why to rig the derivatives lower. To get that price under control. Tamp down that price, as Rustin Benham said. Now, Caroline Pham, the current head and only commissioner at the CFTC, you can't make this stuff up, wouldn't know how to do what Rustin Benham did with his other cohorts. JP Morgan, Citibank. Actually, Caroline Pham would know how to do it with Citibank because she used to work for them. You see how they put their people right in charge, right where the problems lie? But the CFTC is shut down, so there's no regulators. They can do whatever they want, and that's fine. It's all fine. Nothing matters because I know industrial silver is way over 1 billion ounces a year. And as they panic, it'll go to 2 billion and 4 billion and 8 billion ounces a year if they can find the metal. And because it's been allowed to be price suppressed for 180 years, they're going to do it. And that's the key. They're going to say, holy crap, we can get silver for $500 today, for $50 an ounce today. Or what is it? Wait, 54? Let's take a look. At $53 an ounce today, whereas next year it'll probably be up over 100. And then they're going to say, holy shit, silver's up over $100 per ounce, and we use 1/100 of an ounce in every cell phone. We better stockpile some silver. So says Apple Computer. And they go out and try to stockpile it, but there's none available. That's the point we're hitting. Now, will you see people in line to melt down their silver at that point? I think it'll all be gone by then. Dead and gone. And then people say, oh my God, what's going on with the system? And then the real interesting stuff comes out where the derivative holders who have been short silver this whole time will start to flop over. And these are not normal derivative holders. They are massive derivative holders. Massive. Well, here are the 3 big U.S. derivative holders of the U.S. bank. So U.S. banks and all other entities in the U.S., which is mainly the bullion banks, hold $565,930. That's $1 billion worth. That because these are in the millions of dollars. So $566 billion worth of derivatives on gold and silver. Platinum and palladium don't really play much of a role at all. It's mainly gold and silver. Now, the reason this chart looks so crazy starting in 2021 is they changed the reporting of precious metals delivery. It used to be just silver, platinum, and palladium. In 2022, the beginning of 2022, they changed the rules. They changed the rules because they had to disguise what was going on in silver. We had already seen that Bank of America had leased 1.2 billion ounces of silver from JP Morgan that they stole during the time that they were rigging the markets from 2008 to 2014. What a con that is. Blythe Masters at JP Morgan Chase shorting the crap out of silver, keeping it low, and then taking physical off the market. How'd she get out of that short position? Who knows? There's dumber banks out there. And dumber third parties. So we have a long way to go, my friends, but we know what they've done. We know how they play their games. All right, let's get back to what's going on with silver. Up another $1.50. You know, with the 345, actually it's more than that because the open interest has changed. But $1.50 would be about what? $550 million they've lost so far today. 8 banks. And wait till it starts to run. Now this is very important. This is all about silver. Silver is the bank killer. It was always structured to be the bank killer. At the end of the day, it is silver that will take out the banking cabal. Warren Buffett called derivatives a weapon of mass financial destruction, meaning the derivative market, if one of the large players, a too big to fail bank, gets over their skis in any area, it could trigger the entire meltdown of $3 quadrillion worth of derivatives that are out there right now. That's the estimate. Some people say 2, some people say 3. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is who is holding that derivative position, and we can see right here, JP Morgan Chase. Look at their total derivatives, $60 trillion. They have $3.7 trillion, $3.8 trillion in total assets, but they have a $60 trillion derivative position. Why do you think Trump's not exposing the Epstein file? Who was the number one banker? This is on the private road. I can't talk about that on YouTube. So go to the private road at roadtoruder.com, and you're going to get more than you bargained for. So yeah, we are approaching the end game. In the end game, there'll be a few things happening. One, silver will rise exponentially and take out and shut down the exchanges. So we won't know the price of silver for a while. And 2, the banks that get taken out are going to trigger the derivative meltdown, which will take out all the other financial institutions. You won't have a savings account. You won't have a checking account. You won't have a 401k. The best part of this thing, and it's the best part for humanity, is that all the debt will get erased too. And the real problem is debt these days, because even our money is created out of debt. And the derivative bubble will go away. You know, you can't. There's no smooth transition to cryptos. You won't know what your crypto's worth. Most of them will probably be gone. XRP, for example. I know I pick on XRP, but XRP literally is trying to solve the banker's problem, the banker's SWIFT problem. That's what it was designed to do, and everybody's excited that XRP is going to get in there and be the what banks use for international transfers. Completely against Reggie's patent, by the way. Why would you be happy that the banks would be saved? Because they really won't be saved. It's not going to cure the $3 quadrillion in derivatives. All right. So, yes, I do think the silver dagger will poke the little black heart of the banking cabal, of the criminals, the pedo cabal, all that have ruined our lives for so long. And we will have a chance to rebuild. But it's not going to come without a lot of pain, and most of the pain will be for those who are bought into this old system. And the crypto people have bought into merging cryptos and the old system. Just insane. I mean, it's like crypto people have lost their brain out one side. Now, after the mess goes away, and it will, when everything's zeroed out, we're going to have to figure out what to do. Luckily, the United States has a constitution with gold and silver as money. It's been planned for over 100 years that we will go back to a gold-silver standard in some form. Probably, absolutely would have to be redeemable. Doesn't mean a Federal Reserve deposit or a U.S. Treasury depository couldn't hold the gold and silver for the people and issue them blockchain type of payment system. As long as each individual ounce of silver and gold is properly recorded on the blockchain, which you can do. David Ryder was in the process of doing that before he was removed by Obama to put in Ventris Gibson, who destroyed the U.S. Mint. U.S. Mint's going to do under 10 million silver eagles this year. It's embarrassing. It's sad. It's the worst in probably 20 years. Why? Because the bad guys control the show. Did you know that one of the biggest riggers on the planet, one of the biggest short positions hedged positions, we'll call it, on the planet is through the U.S. Mint. They do have a hedge book. It's run, I think it's run by HSBC. It used to be, but they hid all that stuff. So it's need-to-know basis only. Anyway, in 2021, when we have the silver, the Wall Street silver squeeze, which wasn't that big a deal, but it was enough to freak out the bankers and the regulators. Now we're talking, it's not a bunch of Wall Street bets guys going after silver. It's a bunch of countries, Russia, China, India, with their massive announcement yesterday. All this is leading to you saying, obviously, the price of silver is massively undervalued. It's at 80 to 1 still, and it's going to 1 to 1. Now, when it flips to 1 to 10, that's when the announcement is, oh my God, we need to go back to a gold and silver standard. Oh, by the way, USA, we have sequestered over 2 million tons of gold to make money with. Found at Chocolate Mountain in California, all throughout California. 41% of California is locked up in federal land by Dianne Feinstein. The one good thing she did before she went crazy or got replaced, we don't know. And the Grand Canyon. That's where the big mother lode is, I believe. Definitely in placer gold. There's billions and billions of ounces in the ground they found in the early 1900s of placer gold. There was a mini gold rush in the Grand Canyon. But you aren't allowed to know that because it was over 100 years ago. So your mind has been clouded by the Federal Reserve machine. Oh, I hate the Fed because of blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to say, oh, bad Rothschild. That sums it up. Okay, we're moving along. No, you need to get deeper. You need to dive deeper into what is going on because you got to save your family and your friends and your loved ones. And the only way to do that is get physical assets in your own possession. And yes, you can get physical wallets of cryptos. You can get a hardware wallet of cryptos. Some cryptos will be necessary to move forward. One of the main ones, I think, will be Theta. And I've been screaming this. If we want a high-tech future, which apparently everybody wants, it cannot happen in a centralized basis because there'll be no trust left. So who invented a decentralized way to tap into all the excess computing power, all the excess broadband, and all the excess computational power of every computer on the planet? Not everyone, but the ones that are configured correctly, which is probably 90% of the computers. Android phones can run in Theta Edge node, no problem. So no, $54 doesn't excite me at all. $54,000, yeah, maybe. I'll probably sell at $1,000 silver. I'll probably sell a little bit to buy T-Fuel for the future. Because by then, yeah, if T-Fuel is still pressed down, sat on, below 3 cents now, by the way. Remember we were buying Theta at 5 cents and it went to $15? That's nothing compared to what T-Fuel is going to do. Because at the time, Theta was pretty much the token everyone was getting because of the content delivery network original idea of Theta. And then all of a sudden, hey, if we can do it for broadband, basically expanded broadband in the big cities, if we could do that with broadband, why can't we share all parts of the computer? The hard drives, which they can through sharding, the operational chips, the GPUs for AI, and they can, and they are, and they're Google, Samsung, Sony, Amazon, Microsoft. They're all teamed up with Theta, and Theta has 26 new patents on the technology of decentralized, for the most part. It will never be fully decentralized. They just added a new validator. So I think there's like 27, 28 validators on the Theta system, and it was a massive soccer team. This is bigger than you can even imagine. But right now, for you silver investors, if you're new to silver, you're excited. The old ways are gone of rigging silver. For example, one of the old ways, the way that Ted Butler showed everybody this is how they rig it, is they'd rig the price. They'd get all the weak hands to get in, and then slam it under the moving averages, which currently sit at $36.40 or $39.80. On the 100-day moving average, we're about to cross $40 an ounce. And in the past, India would only buy under the 100 and 200 day moving averages, and they bought a lot. This last month, September, they bought a lot as the price was rising. That is a clear shift. The old system is not going to work anymore because so many monster buyers are below. And silver, India needs massive amounts of silver for their solar. Okay, the day-to-day stuff, 162 contracts delivered. It's been a gigantic month for silver deliveries, and it's a non-delivery month. We're over 30 million ounces already of physical silver delivered on the derivative market that is the COMEX, but it does have a delivery function. Interesting to see yesterday's delivery. JP Morgan Gussamer issued 30 contracts and stopped 30 contracts. Talk about a shell game. These guys run a shell game. And they should all go to jail. Blythe Masters should come out of hiding and be in jail, if she isn't in jail already, for rigging the silver market way back when. She tried to get into the crypto market and rig that, but Trump's doing it the old-fashioned way. Get everybody in, get it fully integrated to the current system, then pull the plug. Then absolutely, yes, I know Trump's family's all in. Bix, Trump's family's all getting rich off the cryptos. Yes, all the Trump family coins will be destroyed. The Trump family is 100% in violation of Reggie's patent as well. There's a reason they took Reggie Middleton out. Because he invented peer-to-peer capital markets. What does that mean? Transactions outside of like a regular Bitcoin transaction, a regular Litecoin transaction, a regular Theta transaction, all of them have their own blockchains. It's the third-party stuff. It's the Ethereums of the world. It's the Solanas of the world. It's the XRPs of the world that Reggie has the patent for. So then after the crash, Cliff's High data said U.S. government's coming to Reggie to help set up new systems. We'll see. I mean, I look at it as a lottery ticket. Having one Very token is like having a lottery ticket. That's probably not going to win. But if it does, if they do what I think could possibly happen, which is reverse the ruling against Reggie Middleton that never should have happened, and release his 98 million of the 100 million tokens that he had, allow him to participate and continue what he was doing, creating a market outside of the current criminal market on exchanges, and then we can start fresh. And Cliff's data did have Veritasium going as high as Bitcoin per coin, which is interesting. All right. Now, I want to show you one more thing. So, silver ETF SLV is the largest known stockpile of silver in one entity. Theoretically, there's over 1 billion ounces that could be found. Obviously, every single one of them has an owner, and I don't think many of them are going to sell at this price. So what do? SLV doesn't want to be forcing the price of silver up because a lot of that silver that they hold has been rehypothecated, meaning lent out. They lend out. JP Morgan facilitates the lending of silver in London, in the U.S., of their custodian silver, which is SLV. It is illegal. Of course it is. But is there anything that they do that is legal? No. To save the system. And part of the proof is looking at how many shorts, the short interest, 54 million shares short on SLV, meaning they're going to have to add 54 million. It's not exactly, but they're going to have to add about 50 million ounces to close out that short. Because they shouldn't be shorting of ETFs anyway. Because you're telling the investor, hey, for every share that you buy, we're going to put an ounce of silver in. It's not an ounce anymore because of all the fees. Get out of SLV and get the real stuff because you're not going to get it. It'll stop trading. It'll halt trading, and it won't come back. Silver's just too important for all the bullshit. Speaking of important, India just announced a record 70% rise in solar installations for the first 3 quarters of 2025. All you morons out there like Jeff Christian and I forgot the other guy's name, that solar expert silver guy who said, "Oh, it's all going to go down." They've been lying. They've been lying to us about how much silver is being used, and I'm at the point where I don't give a shit. How many times can you prove it? And I've proven it more than 10 times. But the proof is in the pudding, right? At the end of the day, we're running out of silver because the price of silver is way too low. It's being misallocated into solar panels, flat screen TVs. Cars probably stay. Definitely flat screen TVs shouldn't cost, massive flat screen TVs under $500 when it's got 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of silver in it. Watch for the massive spikes there. Get your TV now if you're going to think you're going to need a TV in the next couple of years. Oh, anyway, that's what I got for today. It's a lot, I know. Go to roadtoruler.com. I put up the gold-silver price ratio. Again, where should it be today? It should be less than 7-1. At some point, it will hit 1-1. And then when the revelations come out about there being 2 million tons of gold that have been found, not 230,000 tons of gold, that's when the price ratio flips. Will it go 1-80? I doubt it, but it could. Anything's possible. Hell, gold did it. You need a rigger probably 1-80. So, yeah, anything under 10 is just getting back to historical numbers. And we know we've consumed all the silver in the past 100 years. That was part of that 1-10 ratio, or 1-8 ratio, or 1-15 ratio. That gold, all the gold is there in massively more amounts. All the silver has been consumed. That's where you get the ratios like 1-10, 1 ounce of silver for 10 ounces of gold. So yes, you should be swapping all your gold for silver, but I've said it for a very long time. Anyway, that's what I got. Go to the roadtoruler.com and subscribe today. You can get free updates on the left side. Put your name and email address in, and then if you want to join the private road, it's a 1-year subscription. We are sending out one very token. That's the lottery ticket token. Loaded on paper wallet, mailed to your front door. You don't have to know anything about cryptos. And that's for a 1-year subscription to the private road at roadtoruler.com. $2.99 for a year. You get less than $1 a day. My God. And you get this, which I think will be very valuable in the future. All right. That's what I got for you. You guys take care.